I'm doing this anymore. I'm looking alive.
Welcome my guys, gals, and non-binary pals. My name is Hannah and this is now the channel where I talk a lot about a lot of different things. Today I wanted to have a discussion as a part of Gen Z about self-deprecating humor. We're just gonna have a brief look through its prevalence in social media and how it has affected our mental health and psyche as a generation. Please don't get me wrong, I love a good self-deprecating joke. I'm not using this video as some kind of campaign against using self-deprecating humor, but from personal experience as someone who grew up watching a lot of relatable content that primarily used self-deprecating humor as a means of being relatable, I can say that there is definitely a line to draw when it comes to using self-deprecating humor. I believe it's funny, but when you overuse it or you misuse it, I feel like it can turn toxic. Self-deprecating humor is when you make yourself the butt of the joke. You could be making fun of something like your insecurities for humor reasons.
This one says, "What's up, beaches?" instead of bitches for humor reasons.
What's shocking to me now that I really think about it is that self-deprecating humor is quite literally belittling yourself and being mean to yourself for the entertainment of others, and it's so awful when you put it that way, but that's what it really is. So if being mean to yourself is as awful as I've described, then why do we as humans, as a generation, still do it? Well, obviously there are benefits from using self-deprecating humor. In a social setting, using the costly signaling theory, it really does make sense that we as humans use self-deprecating humor to be liked by others. Say you're with a group of friends and you really want to get them to like you, so you crack a self-deprecating joke. The joke is the signal, and the cost of that joke or the signal is your dignity, your pride, but because it was such a costly signal, it signals to the others that you are approachable, you're relatable, you're modest, and you're self-aware, and those are all desirable traits that other people look for. That's why a lot of relatable content, whether it be internet personalities, memes, whatever, that's why they use a lot of self-deprecating humor. Using self-deprecating humor can also benefit you personally. A lot of people use self-deprecating humor as a coping mechanism to deal with a lot of difficult situations, to deal with trauma. I mean, if you can't laugh at yourself, how the hell are you gonna laugh at somebody else? Interestingly, there was a study that showed differences between different socioeconomic classes when it came to people who used self-deprecating humor. The people who were from a higher socioeconomic background who used self-deprecating humor were perceived as more attractive than those people who used self-deprecating humor but were from lower socioeconomic classes. The researchers suggested that this difference was due to the fact that people from a higher class probably could afford to make fun of themselves. I don't know, is it classism? Personally, I found that really interesting because when I was younger, I used to watch a lot of relatable YouTubers, and that was where I got most of my self-deprecating jokes and habits from. And these YouTubers had quickly become multi-millionaires. So I'm just wondering if their rise through the socioeconomic ranks kind of had a correlation to their perceived attractiveness, as this study suggests. As is so often the case, too much of a good thing can also be a bad thing. I think there's a definite line where self-deprecating humor crosses the line from being harmless fun into something more toxic and self-destructive, and I am speaking from personal experience. The way that it grew toxic for me personally was it really crushed my self-esteem. I was growing up watching a lot of content where people were bashing themselves to seem relatable, to make a joke, and of course a lot of these people, for the most part, it was funny, it was a joke, but I think subliminally and unconsciously I started to adopt that self-criticism, and it slowly but surely developed into self-esteem issues and self-hate. Please don't get me wrong, I am in no way, shape or form trying to put the blame for my personal issues on society, or I'm not saying that these content creators were maliciously trying to brainwash me into hating myself, but I just wish that when I was younger I had it in mind to also balance all this sort of negativity with some positivity and just saying nice things to myself once in a while. Because at first I was joking, I was saying all this mean stuff about myself as a joke. I found it funny, but after a while saying it over and over again led me to actually believe the things about myself I was saying. And unfortunately, I also learned the hard way that self-deprecating humor can be detrimental in social situations as well. It can be really detrimental in social situations, like say you're at a job interview and you crack a self-deprecating joke and now your boss thinks that you have no confidence in yourself. Or if you keep using self-deprecating humor to a group of people, say friends at a social gathering or whatever, not that we can have social gatherings now anyway, but if you were to do that over and over again, some people might perceive you as a negative person, as someone who is just kind of pessimistic and not very uplifting to be around. I also think that if you use too much self-deprecating humor as a kind of crutch to deal with your deep emotional issues, I feel like if you keep trying to laugh it off, sometimes it might get to the point where you never really deal with the root of the issue and kind of never really take it seriously, and that's kind of a self-sabotaging thing to do. I am in no way a psychologist, but I do feel that that is a possible thing that might happen when you overuse or misuse self-deprecating humor. I think the moral of the story here is there is a limit to everything and you have to find the balance in everything, especially the media you consume. I didn't really know that when I was a kid, and I wish I did. I'm not trying to say that the content I watched when I was younger was necessarily toxic for using self-deprecating humor, because even now when I go and look back at these videos, at these shows, they are pulled off in a very funny way, and it's most of the time obviously exaggerated for humor. But I think as someone who was very young and very impressionable, I didn't have the foresight to balance all that kind of negativity with some positivity and self-love as well. I will continue to crack self-deprecating jokes. I will continue to watch content using dark humor because I mean, we're going through some really tough times right now, so what else can we really do to cope with this? And I definitely wouldn't say that self-deprecating humor has kind of fallen off the map, but I feel like it's more evenly balanced now. Maybe because the conversation about mental health has been growing over the last few years, which is great. And a lot of the humor now is also kind of the opposite of self-deprecating humor, where you kind of praise yourself in a very exaggerated way to boost your confidence. Obviously, that's also unhealthy in some way because the underlying insecurities of that may be an issue that needs to be addressed, but I do feel it's definitely more balanced than when I was younger and consuming all of this content. Once again, I want to reiterate that this whole thing can just be in my head. Maybe it's my personal life that's led me to this point, to being who I am, like an insecure wreck. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. I would be really interested to have a discussion about this. I might be wrong on some things, I might be crazy. But anyway, that is the video done. This is probably your first time here. Oh my gosh, hello, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. My channel's kind of a mess right now, but it always has been. I really want to start moving in the direction of commentary videos because like when I was younger, when I started my channel, that wasn't really a thing, or at least it wasn't like the popular kind of content, but that is now the main kind of content that I enjoy on YouTube. And so I want to add my 2 cents into the pool. So yeah, if you're down for think pieces like this, just basically me talking about whatever I want, please feel free to like this video, subscribe to my channel, or do neither of those things. But if you do decide to do it, you will get clear skin. Just saying.